This is Empty the Bench with Tom Albano.
I understand the 9 or 10 year thing, and maybe I kind of lean towards what you were saying, Johnny, but I think without Judge, you might as well blow it up.
Nick Morgeson.
Just remember, NBA, nothing but assholes.
And Nick Federa.
Somebody definitely would have said something anonymously to The Athletic or to ESPN at some point during the season if they had had some kind of chemistry issues. You absolutely would have heard this become the scuttlebutt in the NBA, because the NBA insiders, they love scuttlebutt. They thrive on it. They eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Empty the Bench starts now.
And what witch's brew are you going to make to see if you can get yourself out of this one, Aaron?
Well, there's a number of ways I can start, gentlemen. I could start in a cheery mood because the Yankees were going to the American League Championship Series. I could start in a cheery mood because the Giants and Jets both managed to pass some pretty important tests against the Ravens and Packers, respectively. I could be cheery because it's the start of the NBA season. There is a lot going on in the sports world right now, and we are here to bring it all together with you. Episode 157 of Empty the Bench. I am Tom Albano, and that is Nick Morgeson and Nick Federa. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to the Empty the Bench Network here on youtube.com/ETBeatNetwork. Make sure to hit like on the video. Make sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you get everything Empty the Bench Network related. Us, MMA Outsiders, Game On, Fruity Cereal, Living Life, so much more. And Beyond the Bench, of course.
And yes, I did return. By the way, Nick, you got that wrong. That wasn't me at Bob Costas' house. That was identity theft.
So you pretended to be Bob Costas?
No, someone stole my identity and ended up at his house.
Well, kind of like him, you never shut up, so...
I wouldn't say... You know what, though? I have to agree with you. He is a terrible play-by-play broadcaster.
I mean, you're simpatico.
That series was bad, and then pairing him up with Ron Darling, that was even worse.
I'd like to call this game, but then I'd like to spend the next 5 hours talking about Earl Hershiser.
Oh, no, I want to spend the next 3 to 4 hours talking about something that happened in the 1970s.
The wheels are already off on this show, so we're going to get started and just talk. We're going to talk about everything that happened in Week 6, including, again, the Giants and Jets' big wins. And, well, I did say if the Jets managed to beat the Packers in Week 6, we got to figure out what the hell is going on.
Yes! Yes! And I was, wait a minute. I'm taking a victory because I was the only one who said they would win outright.
You know what? Take a bow. Take a bow.
I have to give myself half credit, though. I did say the Jets were going to play well enough that the Packers couldn't cover. And they did more than just not cover.
You know what?
Okay, cut the gold star in half and give yourself half.
I hear something in the distance.
RELAX.
No, Aaron, no. It's panic time up there.
PANIX. Panics.
By the way, Nick, we should have you record that and make it the next sound effect.
All right.
Oh, God.
We got a lot we got to get through. We've got to talk about everything that happened in Week 6. We are going to recap the division series and preview the league championship series, which actually started last night with the NLCS because baseball is dumb with its scheduling. Nick Morgeson, it's your time of the year. The NBA is back, and so we're going to talk about the season that's starting. We'll give, of course, our Week 7 rapid rundown. But, guys, there is only one story that we can lead this week in sports news with, and that is this bonanza of a story out of ESPN. So we would always joke, guys. We would say, oh, well, Dan Snyder probably has some blackmail on Roger Goodell.
Yeah, blackmail.
And it's like, oh, maybe that's why he's still around. And we always use that as a joke. Well, according to a few ESPN reporters, no, it's not a joke. He actually does. And it's not just on Goodell. It's on multiple owners across the NFL. And in a recent update, there's a lawyer that is apparently a little nervous that Snyder might have gotten some client names from the league itself.
So, ladies and gentlemen, they say all the best jokes do have a kernel of truth in them. I just didn't realize that this was an entire popcorn bowl of truth.
Wait a minute. You didn't realize this was going to be a massive dumpster fire to the point where the league had to get involved?
Well, but you know what? This is kind of unprecedented in terms of the league, because we've always known, look, there's always a certain expectation that all these owners are basically the mafia without guns. They hate each other. They're always looking to screw each other over out of every single last cent after they're done screwing us out of our money.
Nick, that's not correct. Actually, the owners work together because they want all the money in their pockets, as opposed to going against the players. Why do you think in these negotiations, when they did the CBA, that everything had to go their way, including the way the health was handled?
Nick Morganson, I will counter that. In the ESPN story that is written, apparently, according to Dan Snyder, he recently told an unnamed associate, quote, "The NFL is a mafia. All the owners hate each other." There is a veteran owner that did counter in the report that said that's not true. All the owners just hate Dan.
Well,
which again, the truth is probably somewhere. That second
Somewhere in the
part is
middle?
probably
Yeah, I
100%
can see
true.
I mean, do you believe half the things that Daniel Snyder says?
I wouldn't believe him if he told me the grass was green.
I wouldn't believe him if he told me the grass was green, the sky was blue, pig shit chocolate. I don't care what he tells me at this point. The man is a liar, and we're going to talk about this in the next parts of the story, where basically he says, "Oh, well, I wrote a letter, and I basically need to confirm everything." We'll get to that in a second, but
yeah. So this report came from Don Van Natta Jr., Seth Wickersham, and Tisha Thompson.
The ESPN investigative reporting team. Yes.
Yeah, and basically what it talks about is that apparently Snyder has enough dirt on these owners and Goodell to blow up the league, and he has reportedly said privately, quote, "They can't fuck with me."
So, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, I'll put the question to the two of you. Is there a chance he's bluffing here? Is there a chance he's full of shit? Because he's full of shit about a lot of other stuff.
No, I would say he's not lying, because when it comes to ownership of his team, and you know this about Daniel Snyder, he's very serious about the ownership of his team. He will do everything and anything to hold on to that Commander's ownership. He will do everything. If that means he has to scratch and claw the other owners in the eye, he will do it.
If that means having to change the name like he did a couple of years ago, he will do it. If it means, well, I shouldn't go on this one, but if it means having his wife be the face of the ownership group, I mean, he did it, but it's pretty clear he resents it.
Well, I'm assuming that if he's thrown out, I'm assuming family members shouldn't be allowed to own the team either. Because if that were the case, that's technically he could run the team from figurehead status if that was the case.
Well,
but
that was true. Jerry's sons would not be involved with the Cowboys.
Well, he works under his son, under his father. But this whole thing is ridiculous. And there's a whole nother part of this story where Jim Irsay comes out of the woodworks and basically says, well, we have enough votes to basically, we have merit, that was the quoted word, to remove Snyder. Okay, here's what I'm going to say right now. If you have enough votes to remove him, then remove him!
Why are you not already doing it? I mean,
so reportedly there was a meeting yesterday, Tuesday.
They didn't have it. They didn't have it. They did not have it because they did not have all the confirmed details as of yet. So the meeting got held up. But
it had been rumored for some time that there was going to be a meeting yesterday.
I want to know what balls Irsay had to speak up, first of all, to the media and say that, one, we have the merits of the votes. And I think the other part of the quote, if I'm not mistaken, was, we know all the stuff that he's done, essentially.
Well, who doesn't know any of the stuff that he's done, from this to all the cheerleading scandals to the toxic workplace environment involving all of the different employees across
the emails involving John Gruden.
But wait a minute.
Of course, they involved him in some way.
But is this? I forgot what they call it in Tom. You know law better than me.
Right.
But isn't there like threat of power or like some kind of like where you have too much power and you're making threats because you have power or something, and that's kind of illegal in a sense?
Technically, what he's doing is completely legal. It's
But
immoral and unethical, but it's legal.
I was gonna say some cases of abuse of power and legality, they're not mutually exclusive. You could do something that's legal but is unethical and abusing your power. In which case,
I guess that's what I meant. Like more abuse. He's abusing his power as an owner in the ownership club, essentially. And
I mean, this is a monster that they created, that they allowed.
They didn't create anything.
Ownership of the team.
No. First of all, I think the NFL owners had to approve it, but they didn't create it. He himself is a monster. The other owners didn't create him as a monster. And that's the problem. When you're in the ownership club, you get basically blackballed as a bad person, even if you're not a bad person.
I mean, if you're going to be an NFL person, it's pretty obvious that you're not the nicest person in the world.
But Nick, come on, that's not fair. You can't make a direct statement. I'm not talking about him. I'm saying
Dan Snyder is poisoning the well.
No.
That's not a shining example.
No. I'm saying Daniel Snyder obviously is the biggest moron in all of NFL ownership history. But I'm saying you can't make a direct, viable statement that says once you become an owner, you're an idiot. Like you can't. You can't do that until you know.
I didn't say idiot. I said monster.
No, I'm saying you can't say that either, though. You can't say as soon as someone becomes an owner that they're a monster. You can't say it.
So hiring a team of private detectives to spy on your other owners in
Nick,
hope of picking up dirt. That's
wait a minute.
No,
Nick.
No, you're right, Nick. You're right, Nick. But it's just you don't see any of the other 31 owners doing that.
No. I said Daniel Snyder is a jerk, and he's in a whole special club by himself for the amount of shit he's pulled. And by the way, Nick, just to refer to what you just said, there's another part in the letter that Snyder wrote that apparently now he's denying that he used his legal team.
That way. Yeah,
his legal team to dig up dirt, which, by the way, I think that's a load of bullshit, if you ask me.
It's to be expected, though.
Well, we all knew he was going to come out and deny it. And also, guess what he's doing? He's going after ESPN also.
Of course, because, again, blame the journalists, blame the press. That's the classic Donald Trump move. And he's basically imported it over to the NFL.
You know what's ironic also? He owns an ESPN-affiliated radio station, right?
Yeah,
he does.
So think about that one for a second.
But I would like to know, though, what is it that he may have on them?
Well, I was going to say,
is making them so scared of pulling the trigger and getting rid of him.
Well, I was going to say, so the fact that Irsay is coming out, and credit my friend in my fantasy league on this. This means one of two things. Number one, this could mean that the owners basically really do want Daniel Snyder out. Actually, let me reread what I sent you guys.
Oh yeah, I remember what you sent us. One was that the owners wanted him out, or he has blackmail of some sort on Irsay.
In other words, or that Irsay really has some
but I think I then said afterwards, Jim Irsay's baggage is public.
Yes, his inner demons are outward bound. So.
He got drunk in public. He got a DUI. He got suspended. He got fined.
So what in God's name could he be hiding?
Who knows? But Jim Irsay has his demons, but not because of dumb things like Daniel Snyder. He just has his demons because of vices,
addiction, and alcoholism.
Right. Yeah. I think Daniel Snyder is just a terrible person in general.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. But you know what? I hate to be cynical about this because cynicism is kind of my default flavor nowadays.
Well, the NFL, the whole NFL, you could be cynical about the whole NFL. Period.
I don't want to be cynical about this, but I do feel like this could backfire if he does push the big red button and dump everything. Because honestly, I think the NFL is at a place where they can flood the zone with so much shit that people won't pay attention.
Well, let me
get asses in seats come every Sunday afternoon, because look at what happened with the NBA in Robert Sarver's case. Yeah, it's a PR nightmare and a shitstorm, but a shitstorm that will pass.
And actually, I would say Robert Sarver's situation would be as close to or as equal to Daniel Snyder in some instances, because there was race, there was women bashing, there was physical altercations, abuse of power. So I would say they're pretty much almost close to equal in those regards. But
flood the zone with so much of it where the media doesn't, where people don't have time to digest it.
Wait, but the one thing I would say though,
would they even care?
But the one difference is I would say Robert Sarver was not threatening legal action against all the NBA. Or allegedly. Let me correct that. Allegedly, because now he's coming out and saying I never did any of that stuff. But
But Sarver's not saying that I have blackmail against all.
No, that's what I'm saying.
My other owners and Adam Silver.
Robert Sarver is essentially going away. Like he's saying, "All right, see ya. Just give me my money. I'm going away."
Is anybody else morbidly curious about what exactly kind of dirt it is?
Of course,
everybody wants to know.
And I think Nick is more interested in what the blackmail is on Roger Goodell than it is on the owners.
Oh, I could let my imagination run for a
gentlemen. We're going to find out Roger Goodell's secret fetish.
Yes.
Oh God, don't say that.
It's probably something to do with duct tape, super glue, and boxing gloves.
Oh, so you mean domestic violence hearings that he goes through every other week?
Look, I'm not saying he actually shows up to that hearing in his underpants with eating a huge tub of popcorn, but I'm not saying that.
I'm sorry, Tom, but he doesn't know how to handle his domestic violence hearings.
Are you comparing him to that GIF of Michael Jackson from the Thriller video where he eats the popcorn?
Pretty much. But that letter, though, can we admit? Wait a minute. Can we admit that letter? Now, this was the updated part of this story. The letter was ridiculous.
I read because I have it up.
It's story time. It's time to read a letter from the ownership of the Commanders and Daniel Snyder.
All right. Where's our boy Josh Nailers? Come around, sit down. It's time for story time.
Put the children in.
Yeah. All right. Dear, it just says blank. So this is, I guess, because it goes around to multiple people.
I thought it said friends and family or something, didn't it?
No, it just says dear blank.
Oh, okay.
To whom it may concern.
Exactly, that's what it is.
Wait a minute, so he should be writing it to himself then.
To whom it may concern. I hope that you and your family are doing well.
That's it.
I would like to address a recent ESPN article that contains false and malicious statements about the Washington Commanders, our management team, and me and my family. It is particularly shameful for ESPN to diminish the very real accomplishments of our president, Jason Wright, who ESPN alleges was placed at the Commanders by the league and has no power to make real change. I know you know this to be false. Unfortunately, ESPN ignored our efforts to correct the many falsehoods in their article before its publication. There is one allegation in the ESPN article that I feel is important to address immediately. The article cited unnamed sources who said they've been told that Snyder instructed his law firms to hire private investigators to look into other owners and Commissioner Goodell. That is patently false and intended to erode the trust and goodwill between owners that I take quite seriously. I have never hired any private investigator to look into any owner or the commissioner. I have never instructed or authorized my lawyers to hire any private investigator on my behalf for any such purpose, and I never would. While we all are fierce competitors on the field, we are a part of this organization because we love football, our teams and our fans. Having the privilege to own a franchise in America's sport is something I know none of us take for granted. Falsehood and lies being spread about any of our organizations hurts our league, our players, and our fans, and we simply cannot let them go unchallenged. Thank you for taking the time to read this. If you have any questions, Tanya and I are always available to answer them, and we look forward to discussing these issues with you at the appropriate time. Sincerely, Daniel Snyder.
Okay, so I have two choices here.
No, if you have any questions, please don't direct them to Robert Kraft because he has a debilitating hooker addiction. And he goes to massage parlors on every Thursday to get a hand job under the table. How do I know that? I didn't get it from a man in a trench coat. I'm telling you that.
Wait a minute, it's all about craft services. Okay, so we have two choices here. Which sound effect do you think fits better? All about curb or about lying?
Curb. I want to go curb.
Go curb. Yeah. It'll fit so well.
And better yet, I do think he was lying too.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop fucking lying.
Are you seriously saying I'm going to take that letter to be true and sincere? Really? And by the way, Nick, I was going to take this joke from you. I think he had someone write that letter for him because he used those Stephen A. Smith big words.
He did.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
So what I did was I control F the word comment because it mentions ESPN. They tried to rectify the issue. So let's see. Jerry Jones declined comment for the story, and so did a Cowboys representative because apparently this story mentions that even Jerry Jones has lost all form of faith in Daniel Snyder, which actually, if you remember the minute I did over the weekend, basically is that Jerry Jones has come out and told our Dallas radio station not true, that basically we're still friends. We're always competitors on the field, but we're still friends. Alan, I believe that's the president that they were referring to before.
Yeah. This story is a dumpster fire.
Okay,
I mean,
he declined comment. I want to see something that says, okay, Jim Wilkinson declined comment.
Gee, I see a theme here.
Vermillion. Oh, Washington's head trainer denied comment. A Commander spokesperson called Irsay's comments, quote, inappropriate and said results of current investigations will cause Irsay to see Snyder in a better light. Browns owner Jimmy Haslam told ESPN he was not aware Irsay would make his comments and plans to wait on White's investigation before making determinations.
Nick, this is getting worse. This is getting worse. Every time an owner says, I don't know, or he's denying.
It's stupefying because this man, look, Dan Snyder, the fact that these owners would choose to say nothing is just mystifying to me because the man is going for your nuts with a giant pair of novelty scissors and you're clamming up.
Actually, I wouldn't say scissors. I would say a chainsaw.
Again, he's aiming for your nuts. Why are you not getting rid of him?
I'll tell you what.
The power to do so.
I'll tell you why.
Look at all the failure.
The NFL is a giant failure. The ownership group, everyone wants to be in the owners club, but they can't behave.
The NFL is big enough to bullshit their way out of this.
Well, you think Avengers Civil War was something? You think the actual Civil War was something? Now we have NFL owners Civil War.
No, I mean, you know what, Daniel?
Captain Commander's Civil War.
Well, yeah, we all know he's taking command. Anyway, my point is, Daniel Snyder's going 10 rounds, but here's the problem. All the owners basically denying it are doing this. They're punching him in the face because basically they're denying and they're ignoring everything that's coming out of Daniel Snyder's mouth. Exactly. So Daniel Snyder can basically come out and say whatever he wants. No, I didn't do it. ESPN made it up. Journalism sucks. Well, doesn't mean you didn't do it.
Well,
it doesn't mean you didn't do it, but go ahead.
We've seen so many controversies with Daniel Snyder that it's just at this point assumed because, if it looks like a duck, if it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, what must it be?
A duck.
Must be one crime and duck.
What the duck is going on in this establishment?
Oh God.
Yeah, that is the perfect thing to say about this piece, and that is what the duck.
What the
I mean, I don't know what you say. I mean, we've been expecting this for a while. First, it was the cheerleaders situation. Then I think it was him putting his arm on on a woman's leg when they were sitting at a fancy establishment dinner party. And then now we're finding out that he's a dirtbag. I think that's 3 strikes and you're out.
I mean,
calling
him a
game.
I mean, calling him a dirtbag is an insult to vacuum cleaners. So, honestly, dirtbags have more dignity.
Well, he is a vacuum cleaner.
What do to you?
He is a vacuum cleaner because he's sucking everybody's nuts up. This story can't end. Like, you know how we try to find like the even line to get to the end of the story?
Lining.
There's no silver lining here. This is a deep dive into a black hole that you're never going to come out of.
Which, if you get rid of him, you're not going to. Again, spare the man this pain. Because it's not even like they're winning. It's not even like the Commanders are a viable NFL
No, the
franchise.
Commanders are one of the worst teams in football. The Giants and Cowboys are doing well. The Eagles are undefeated. And then all the way towards the bottom with one measly win are the Commanders.
See, the problem is there's a reference in my head I want to make, but I can't make it because I know usually we're a very uncensored podcast. I can't make this reference because I'm afraid we're going to get canceled because that's how much I think of Daniel Snyder as a person. I'll just leave it at that.
He sucks.
It's a certain H word for a person that was a leader many years ago that I can't say.
Oh. But actually, wait.
Oh, no.
Can't say that.
Nick, did you say that Daniel Snyder snucks?
You suck.
Yep. There's no way. It's unfortunate. And I hate that we have to spend time on these dumbass stories because you have an owner who's abusing his power, too busy going off to Hawaii or whatever island he is and basically wanting to fuck every cheerleader he's around.
He's basically running a sexual assault emporium and football concern.
Oh, yeah. Are we done with that topic? Or?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think we burnt that monkey to the ground already.
Okay, then Nick, I can't believe you have used that line because it is a awful but perfect transition into our next story. Gentlemen, there's a name we haven't heard from in a little while, and he's currently suspended. He's supposed to come off the suspension a little less than 2 months. And he just got a 25th sexual misconduct lawsuit.
Okay, so you know what? Dan Snyder runs the sexual assault emporium that Deshaun Watson regularly shops from.
I guess this is Empty the Bitch takes a trip to the circus. That is Deshaun Watson. Oh God, I don't want to take that trip.
No one said you had to like the trip.
I don't want to know who's conducting that circus, but I'm pretty sure he's not wearing pants.
I'm not saying it's a fun circus, but my point is the NFL can't stand on its own 2 feet. Nick, I said this before. The NFL is a disingenuous league.
The disingenuous organization, but again, it proves my point earlier that they're going to be able to bullshit their way out of this.
Well,
and they're halfway home to bullshitting their way out of this with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, but there's more lawsuits coming out.
There's more lawsuits coming, but they won't punish him.
Time out. So here's the question. Well, a couple of different. Well, I have one question. I have one remark. The question I have is, how did this other lawsuit come out now after all but one of the other ones have been settled? And as far as my point goes, kind of along the lines that Nick Federa was going, that he's not going to get punished any further because remember something, the NFL, and even if you want to go back as far as Sue L. Robinson, finalized in their rulings and in the settlement that Deshaun did something. As much as Deshaun wants to deny and claims his innocence, there are 2 parties, the NFL themselves and Sue L. Robinson, who have come to the terms that Deshaun, something happened here in which he violated the personal conduct policy. We may not agree with the suspension length, but at least they have proven that that something has happened, that he has violated it. But because he has violated it, and he's already settled most of these lawsuits. I don't think anything else is going to come of this.
But here's the problem. And I'll let you finish that point. Here's the problem. If he didn't do anything, why did he apologize?
Again, I'm sorry you got offended of apologies.
No,
which it kind of sounds like an apology, but it's actually not.
He gave one of those BS PR apologies in front of the media, like, well, I'm sorry with whatever happened. Why did you? If you think you're so innocent, Deshaun, why did you do it?
We know that if any more sexual misconduct lawsuits are filed, there could be 1 more, 2 more, 10 more, 15 more.
It just did.
God knows with him. But the NFL is not going to want to discuss.
Yeah, but Nick,
they have put the mess in the dustpan, and they are lifting up the rug, and they are waiting to sweep it under the rug.
I get what you're going to say, Nick Morrison, in that technically this is another lawsuit, and so maybe this 11-game suspension now needs to go further. But on this, conveniently, Roger Goodell has come out and said that Deshaun is following all the terms. He's going to the therapy sessions and he's stayed away from the team. So right now, after his 11-game suspension concludes, he can come back. But besides, Nick, we can't screw up this big return revenge game against the Texans.
Oh, you know what? Fuck that game. I could give 2 shits. My point is...
You don't, but clearly they do.
You really think they're going to make money off a Texans-Browns game?
Guys?
Roger Goodell strikes again. Again, but we keep forgetting this point, that the NFL is a profoundly cynical enterprise. Profoundly cynical.
Nick, if Deshaun doesn't come back, does anyone give a shit about that game?
Of course not. Of course not. But again, you seem to think that the dam is going to burst, but the dam is not going to burst.
The dam has already burst. The
NFL is not going to have a come to Jesus moment.
Nick,
to get rid of him.
Nick, the dam has already burst. They're just ignoring the fact that they're basically flooding, and they're going to sink and sink and sink and sink until they die.
But no. That's where I think you're wrong, because again, they are too big to fail. They are too big to fail. They should, but they are too big to fail.
But Nick,
even Tree has recognized it when he's talked about some of the controversies, because he always says no, because our butts are always going to be in the seat on Sunday afternoon.
Well, that could change in certain aspects soon, but
we're a part of it. Look, we're a part of it. Since we're discussing the NFL week, we're discussing Week 6 on this show.
But that's not the point, Nick.
We're kind of feeding into it.
No,
I'm not saying that's wrong or right. I'm just saying it's part of the churn. As long as we're talking about the games themselves and not about all this extracurricular activity, quote unquote, they got us by the nuts.
But wait a second. You have new lawsuits now, Nick. If there's one, that means there's going to be another 10 somewhere down the line that are going to come out.
But now, and I don't want to put down these women, but I'm asking, okay, but why now? After all, why not during the madness? Why not worsen the circumstance when it was actually going on?
Because maybe they had to build the cases. So it's not easy to build the case right away.
Yeah, I'm not saying the woman who is accusing him of this is lying. Actually, in fact, quite the opposite.
I happen to be on both sides of what you're saying. One, if they just kept bringing the lawsuits, eventually they would have had to suspend him for the year. So that's the whole point you would have had to make. But if they brought too many cases, they would have thought it was a money grab at one point.
You don't think? There were flying theories out there that the 20-something cases was already a money grab. They wouldn't have anything to lose if they had 1 or 2 more, or 10 more, or 50 more.
First of all, if there was 50 to 100 lawsuits, he would have been gone for the year. And this wouldn't even be a story anymore.
You would think, but we live in a culture that really doesn't give a shit about sexual assault victims.
Well, we're talking about the NFL. I would say the NFL doesn't give a shit about sexual assault.
The NFL is an extension of that. It's a microcosm of how we as Americans, or the American justice system, deals with this stuff.
True, and I agree with you, but as long as the NFL is making the $17-18 billion a year that they make, they're just going to pay people to go away. That's all they're going to do. They don't care. As long as they hit that cash register, that's all they care about.
So you're agreeing with what we're saying?
I'm not necessarily agreeing. I'm saying that because of when a company, and the best example I can give, when you're a bigger company, whether you're a podcast network like we are, or a vacuum business like you were saying earlier, or whatever business you want to say, the bigger you are, the more dangerous it becomes because you could be viable for any situation that goes on in a company or a business. Liable for anything that goes down in your business. And that's what's going on here. The NFL is so big that any entity that gets attacked or something happens, the whole NFL is going to get sued over it. So I don't know if this lawsuit necessarily is against Deshaun Watson and the NFL, or if it's just Deshaun Watson.
It's just Deshaun Watson.
I just wish I had your faith in it. But I just don't.
I don't. Well, because remember, again, Sue Robinson and the NFL both did come to terms that Deshaun Watson violated the PCP, the personal conduct policy of the NFL.
And by the way,
the reason Sue Robinson gave 6 games was because the whole point of Sue Robinson's the whole argument over her 6 games thing was because this case, did it have precedent or not? So Sue Robinson looked back at cases like Greg Hardy and Ray Rice and felt that it was that those cases were precedent, how the NFL handled everything, and that's why she gave the 6 games. The Goodell and company and the league were trying to argue, no, this should be a whole new case, a whole new precedent, because they had never done anything like they did with Sue Robinson before.
The one difference I would make, and I agree with the point you made when we started talking about this earlier on, it wasn't tried as a legal case, and that was the mistake by the court system.
Tried as a criminal case.
Well,
right.
you know what I mean.
Case. Yeah.
It wasn't tried as a criminal case. That was the first mistake by the legal system, and we all know the legal system is fucked up in this country, and that's why it never saw as a criminal case. If this was a criminal case, you could throw that personal conduct policy out the window because it becomes a legal situation. But because it's treated as a personal conduct policy, the most you can get is 6 games.
Well, he got 11 conveniently, so they could have the.
Go ask Calvin Ridley how he feels about the personal conduct policy rules.
I agree.
You can ask Julio Jones about that.
Could ask DeAndre Hopkins as he's getting ready to come back from.
I mean, heck, he got 6 games for PEDs.
Yep.
I mean,
shit. You could ask Ricky. You could ask Ricky Williams about that stuff.
Well, that was marijuana, right?
Yeah.
Stay off the damn weed.
Duh.
I was waiting for that to show up.
All right. I feel a little disgusted doing it, but now we do have to talk about some it's on the field football news, but it more has to do with some front office measures. So we've already discussed last week Matt Rule being fired by the Panthers as head coach, and now, gentlemen, it seems like everything must go. Fire sale.
Well, Robbie Anderson kind of made the fire sale happen earlier, if you know what I mean.
Right, I'm Crazy David Tepper, and I've got to get you a running back. So come on down to Panthers Emporium, because everything that's not mailed down has to go. That's right, even my pants. Here, take my pants. I'm a walk home bare ass naked.
Thank you, Jerry Jones sound-alike.
Who wants a used Sam Darnold?
Nobody.
Who wants a used Baker Mayfield?
Anybody?
Nope. But here's
you want him? I can give you him. All it's going to cost you is your first round picks for the next 4 or 5 years.
Well, I'll give you a legitimate team that really needs him, though.
The Bills.
Yeah, the Bills. I think
I see it happening.
If they get CMC, that's going to be an even more dangerous team than it is now.
If they get CMC, they are already an undisputed Super Bowl favorite. But if they get CMC, they're going to be
that's almost unfair. Like if they
get CMC, they're going to the Super Bowl.
I mean, he needs a change of scenery in the worst way. Like, he needs a team that actually competes.
No shit, because the Panthers rebuild for the last few years has gone absolutely nowhere. Get him a new home. Curtis Samuel already found a new home in Washington a couple of years ago.
Actually,
Robbie Anderson, for the shit that happened on the sideline, he actually has a better home now in Arizona. Get McCaffrey a better home. What should be a better home?
It's debatable, but I'll say for now, yes.
Get a DJ Moore a better home. Giants, I think Giants, you can give up a 3rd or 4th round pick to get DJ Moore. That'd be nice to have. Our receivers are doing okay, even though they're not known names, and DJ Moore is something really talented. Please, Giants, please.
See, I wish the Jets had jumped back on that bandwagon for Robbie Anderson, because I really liked Robbie Anderson in the worst way. I was so mad when they got rid of him.
He was great for you guys, honestly.
I swear I blew the roof off my house when they made that trade. Like, he was a dominant number 1 for them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But this team is a dumpster fire. It's over. Tepper he might need to sell the team at this point.
Well, again, the 5-year plan has pretty much gone as well as it's gone about as well as a Zeppelin flight lesson. But that's exactly the problem here, though, isn't it? Because we thought that.
What 5-year plan?
But again, do you remember a time when Matt Rule was hot shit? Everybody wanted Matt Rule, including the Giants?
Wait, you mean the guy out of Baylor where everyone wanted him as he was as hot as hotcakes?
I don't know whether it was absolutely his fault or
it's not.
The fact that the people running the team and personnel decisions don't know their asshole from their elbow. So
it's not his fault. I mean, he's a good coach. He proved it in college for Baylor and for Temple.
He's a good college coach.
Well, I still think it's debatable. I don't think this is all his fault. It's not fair to put this all on him. The players have to want to play and win.
But Nick, he's won like a 5th of the 38, the 40 games.
I didn't say it wasn't his fault at all. Everyone has a fault in this. You can't put this all on Matt Rule. That's not fair to the guy, at least in my opinion.
I will say that I'm kind of glad now the Giants had their 2 years of Joe Judge so that we could have Brian Daboll.
Can you imagine if that nightmare happened with another coach in New York?
Good God.
No.
Good God.
Not after Joe Judge, not after Adam Gase. None of that, please.
How many coaches are the Giants still paying?
Ooh,
a couple.
They might even be paying me to coach them. I don't know what.
I don't know. This was a dumpster fire of a situation. I mean, I can tell you, Sam Darnold is a quarterback in a trade with the Jets. I mean, thank God they were able to trade him for something. I was surprised, and then you brought in Baker Mayfield because, whatever. They just basically grabbed anything they could off the scrap heap. I mean, I know it only cost them like a 6th round pick or whatever.
Yeah.
The problem is that 6th round pick is going to be better than Baker Mayfield.
You're going to be able to do more for you than Baker Mayfield will, which is really, you know what? It's really kind of sad because you know what? We all had high hopes for Baker, didn't we?
We did.
So
I did.
You didn't.
I didn't. I didn't.
Am I the only one who had high hopes for Baker?
Baker Mayfield.
After he got the Browns their first win in over a year, after he led the Browns to the 2020 playoffs.
Oh, are you talking about when they opened the beer cases on the streets and they had that dumb promotion?
Yeah.
But my point is, and this is going to be really insulting, but Baker Mayfield is Johnny Manziel 2.0.
I wouldn't go that far.
At least Baker Mayfield's won a playoff game.
At least
one playoff game?
At least Baker Mayfield doesn't have the arrests and issues that Johnny Manziel had off the field.
Didn't he get arrested for something in college, fleeing the police or something, I thought?
Baker?
Yeah, I could have sworn, because that's how we ended up. Because that's how we ended up on Cowherd's show, and they got into that whole fight.
Oh, that's right, he did. Okay, but Manziel has a much harsher record.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. Manziel is probably the biggest bust up there with Jamarcus Russell for biggest busts in history of quarterbacks.
Hey, Jamarcus, what was on those tapes you watched?
You know what? I don't even want to know.
I thought he was too big.
Having to talk about NFL owners and fetishes, I really don't want to know what was on
No, that's not what I was. Do you not understand the reference I was making?
I got it.
That basically there was this one year of training camp where the coaches gave him tapes to
Yes,
watch,
and he didn't watch them.
And he basically didn't watch it. And they asked him, what were on the tapes, and I think it was something like route packages. There was nothing on the tapes. He gave them blank. That the coaches gave him blank tapes to see if
they did it on purpose to see if he would actually put the tape in and watch. That was the whole point. Because Jamarcus Russell,
was lazy.
That's the modern day homework clause that was in the Kyler Murray contract that was removed.
Oh, by the way, I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves with the Rapin Rundown, but is the Call of Duty game coming out this week? Hold on.
I don't know.
A Call of Duty release date. Oh, October 28th. Okay, not yet. But very soon. That the week that game comes out, the Cardinals are going to lose.
Oh, okay.
So if you're focused on this Call of Duty.
God.
Oh, God.
And speaking of duty, Davante Adams finds himself in big duty. Because guess what? That shove that happened at the end of Monday Night Football, now he officially has a charge. Misdemeanor assault.
I'm just going to do it now.
Congratulations, dickweeds. I mean, you really need to look where you're going.
I mean, I do have to blame the cameraman somewhat because he was doing that antagonizing thing where he brought the camera right in front of the entrance between the locker room area and the field. So I have to blame him partially.
Nick, but what do you think is going to happen when you put your hands on somebody and you're a professional?
Oh no, that's bad.
On national television.
That's bad.
You're absolutely known better.
You're absolutely right. That was bad. But he was essentially taunting him with a camera.
I mean, it really doesn't matter if he was or he wasn't. I mean, you're still gonna watch where you're going.
And by the way, to file charges and say I got a concussion, bullcrap.
I mean, number one, that was a money bag. I kind of agree with you that it was kind of stupid. But I think, let me be honest with you guys. Be honest with me. If he doesn't make that police report, do you think the NFL comes down on Davante?
No,
absolutely not.
And there you go. I think he wanted to make sure the Ginger Hammer came down.
Well,
he wanted to make sure the Ginger Hammer came down, but he also, the least they could have done was pay his medical bills.
Did he file a lawsuit? That's what I want to know.
I don't believe so.
Okay, so if he didn't file a lawsuit, then that's the end of that, basically.
Well, I'll have a little look here.
Because filing charges means what? Oh, you just wanted to get in trouble. You file a lawsuit, you say, I'm suing the NFL and Davante Adams for money, then you're talking about a whole different situation.
It mentions potential civil suit, but there's nothing filed as of yet.
By the way, I think I'm not 100% sure, but the charge, I think it was simple misdemeanor, or like it was like a low grade misdemeanor.
Low grade.
Which essentially means it doesn't go on record, so to speak, at least from what I read.
Well, I mean, Davante Adams, of course, isn't the only one facing a similar kind of charge when you got Bobby Wagner also waiting for whatever the heck is going to happen to him. The fact that the freaking guy who ran on the field, the trespasser, filed charges against him.
You know what, though? I have no problem.
The guy got trucked.
I have no problem with what Bobby Wagner did there.
No, not at all.
I think he was trespassing.
I think if
wait, was that the guy that had the smoke thing, the colored smoke thing? Okay, then he was protecting everybody on the field.
I'm going to make a statement right now, and I apologize to any Californians watching. What if that trespasser ends up winning and getting these charges, fully onto Bobby Wagner? If he gets any special money from this, if he gets any sort of victories from this, everyone should just leave that state. Everyone should just leave California because they're not interested in protecting the citizens of that state.
Of course not. And we try to avoid politics on this show, but it's just the NFL needs to realize Bobby Wagner was stopping a more dangerous situation from breaking out.
Yep.
Especially you don't know. Now, I think for the most part, those smoke things are just like they just send out colored smoke. But
how do you know?
I'm saying for the most part, from what I know,
In the moment, you didn't.
No,
Right.
at the moment you don't. First of all, those could have been bombs for all we know. We don't know.
Exactly.
But the NFL needs to wake up. The NFL has a massive problem on its hands. It can't tell the difference between right and wrong.
It can't tell the difference between its left hand and its right hand.
Right.
Well, when the right hand doesn't give a shit what the left hand is doing, and the left hand is pretty much, I don't want to say plotting revenge, but definitely plotting some kind of mischief. Then you know you got a problem.
It's a good point.
All right, let's move off of the football for a little bit. Let's talk some baseball. So we're gonna recap the division series. So, guys, who did you think the number 5 and number 6 seeds in the National League were going to be competing for the pennant?
I'll finish that sentence for you. No one did.
Oh.
No one outside of the San Diego and Philadelphia metro areas knew that this was going to happen. And you know what? I have my doubts that even they thought this was going to happen.
I'll sum it up in one fell swoop. I mean, these are upset central. I mean, you upset the defending World Series champion. You upset the Dodgers, that I think that had the most wins in MLB this year.
111 games.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Most victories in franchise history.
Most victories in franchise history. One of the most wins in Major League Baseball history. Mets fans might, not take solace in this, but I mean, congratulations, Dodgers. You kind of took some heat off the Mets. You had one of the biggest collapses.
Collapsed the Mets.
Wait. I'll go one step better.
Congratulations, dickweeds. The fact that the Dodgers couldn't even get to a 5th game, to a team that didn't even win 90 games.
A team that lost one of its stars to a PED suspension.
Lost one of their stars to a PED suspension. However, the San Diego Padres do have a lot of talent.
I was just going to say.
Cronenworth has been playing out of his mind. So has Manny Machado. So has Trent Grisham.
Well,
Musgrove.
Musgrove and Yu Darvish.
Listen. The reason I didn't give them credit was because we has talked about all the talent they had last season. And it ended with them absolutely collapsing. Remember the scene of Machado and Tatis Jr. yelling at one another. If you remember, Juan Soto and Josh Bell put up little to nothing after being acquired in the trade deadline.
I think he was hitting like 120 something.
But wait a minute. The pitching is way better this year than it was last year.
I agree. I'm just saying for all the talent never delivered on, that's why I did not have the faith.
Agreed.
But I was proven wrong. I will admit, I was proven wrong.
And by the way, and I was saying this on Hitting for the Cycle, which I was a guest on with Hank and Dichter, that the way you look at the Padres and the way you look at this whole situation, much better team. Also, if the whole situation with the PED scandal doesn't happen with Tatis Jr., do you acquire Soto at the deadline?
Well,
probably not.
No, well, didn't the trade happen before it came out though?
It did, but
it was like the same time. It was like the same time.
I'd like to think they would have done some creative maneuvering if he wasn't, or they might have known about it before we knew about it. So,
I think it's a whole different situation if you don't have Soto in that lineup. Now, it took a little while for Soto to get going. He was hitting like 130 for 15, 20 games. But
I'm more flabbergasted at the Braves, to be honest with you.
I'm not.
I mean, the Dodgers. Look, baseball is more of a crapshoot than people like to talk about.
I don't know if I agree with that.
It is more. If these division series are anything to go on, baseball is more dependent on luck than it is anything else.
I think you guys are kind of on the same page here. Let me put it to you guys in a better way. Baseball, I think, is the sport where it's most common that you don't see the best team come out on top. You'll see these sneaky wild card teams end up getting into a pennant series or a World Series.
And think about the NHL playoffs. Think about the NBA playoffs. Think about the Super Bowl. The best team did win.
Well,
first of all,
almost always I'm saying almost always, maybe not the top seed, but a division champion.
A division champion will.
But wait a minute. The Super Bowl, first of all, is a crapshoot. I hate to break that to you because it's one game. It could go one way or the other.
Well, what I was going to say is there are exceptions. The Bengals-Rams was a 4 seed versus a 4 seed. It was 2 division winners, but the 2 lowest division winners.
The Giants beating the Patriots twice.
One as a 4 seed and one as the 6 seed, as the last team in.
But to look at this situation, the Braves just did not have it. After the Phillies stole Game 1 in Atlanta, the momentum was on the side of the Philadelphia.
Because Bryce Harper's been hitting out of his mind.
I was going to say, I don't think it's because Atlanta was bad. I think there's just something under the Phillies right now that is giving them all the...
I'll give you one major reason why they didn't make it past. A certain somebody who's not on the team anymore. Freddie Freeman.
You think Freddie Freeman was the difference? Freddie Freeman was on the Dodgers and it didn't make a difference to them.
No, you're missing my point. Freddie Freeman was the anchor in Atlanta. He lived in Atlanta. That was his place. Yeah, but that's his comfort zone.
Yeah, but you could argue that you could make a very convincing case that the Braves were better this year because they had
Matt Olson.
I don't think Matt Olson's better than Freddie Freeman.
Matt Olson, they had Spencer Strider, Michael
Dansby Swanson.
No. You were comparing the position, right? I said I don't think I think Freddie Freeman is better than Matt Olson at first base.
I think so too, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the Braves still had a very dangerous lineup.
No, absolutely. And by the way, they have their core locked up all the way through, I think, like 2027, 2028 with all the contracts on their roster. But I also think the pitching was a struggle also.
Well, I had mentioned to Nick and Johnny last week when you weren't here that if the Braves had won this year's World Series, then basically that was going to be a sign of they were going to be in this decade what they could have been if not for the Yankees in the 90s, where they would have been the dominant franchise throughout.
Also,
the last team to repeat are still the Yankees.
It's still possible. It's still possible the Braves could be the team of the decade.
We're missing one thing here too. Do you know how tough it is to repeat as a World Series champion?
Very.
It is very tough.
And to make it to the LCS the year after you make the World Series, LDS after you make the World Series, that's hard. People don't realize that. You're never the same team year after year. That's what people don't realize. In the NBA, for many years, you look at some of the runs, Miami Heat, Boston Celtics, the Spurs, the Pistons, they're a lot of the same players, the core, for many years.
I did not see I did not, if it would be it'd be a different thing if I saw the Braves play every day. From a distance, it didn't look like they had many flaws. But you know what? But the Phillies, from a distance, they got a ton of flaws. But you know what? It didn't end up mattering, Dick.
Let me make one more point on the Phillies. June 3rd, that's a date that should stand out to you. When Joe Girardi was fired, when Rob Thompson, who finally got a well-deserved opportunity as a manager after 25 years in the Yankee organization, finally got a well-deserved opportunity being a manager. And guess what? Rob Thompson knows the new age style of baseball. Joe Girardi was in old man's land trying to play traditional baseball, which doesn't work as a manager anymore. And guess what? When Rob Thompson comes in, he spanked these guys into shape. Third best record in the second half behind who? The Mets and the Braves.
But you know what? There's something to be said about that. There's something to be said about what you can do if you believe you can beat them.
So it's a guarantee we're going to have a wild card team represent the NL in the World Series. And there is a chance the Phillies, in the first year that we have number 6 seeds in the leagues, will become the first 6 seed to win a pennant.
Just be careful. Just be careful because now Rob Manfred's going to think this works. He's going to want to add more teams to the playoffs.
Oh, it's inevitable that's going to happen, Nick, unfortunately.
Just wait. Why don't we just put all the teams in the playoffs like the NBA was trying to do? Let's make everybody in the playoffs. Let's give everybody a home game. Let's make all the freaking money we can make and turn the playoffs into a clown show.
Mid-season tournament. Oh,
God.
Don't even remind me of that, please.
Oh, God.
Brother, this guy stinks!
Well, we've been saying that for a long time, but yes.
All right, let's go to the American League Division Series, and my God, Seattle, I think Tree and 5 Points all said it best. Man, you guys sure know how to punch your fans in the collective dick.
By the way, this is the tale of two completely different series. By the way,
You had them on the fucking ropes.
the Mariners could have swept this series. They really could have.
If they had taken that game in Houston, they take this series. If they had taken that game in series, the Yordan Alvarez, if he does not hit that walk-off home run and they hang on, they win this series.
You're talking about game one.
When they brought Robbie Ray in, their star to close out to get the last out.
They didn't lose this series. Scott Service did.
Nah, that again, I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I don't think that's
3, Scott Service, nothing.
I can't agree with you on that. The Astros played better off Seattle's mistakes.
They did, but you can't make those mistakes.
No, but it goes to the point that I said about any team, and especially our Yankees, who we'll get to. What do you have to do to prevent Houston from going to the World Series again?
Win a game in Houston.
Yeah, but you make it sound like that's easy.
But I didn't. I didn't say it's easy. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying the exact opposite.
I'm just saying, like, because everyone.
But they were so close to doing it. So close.
But I love how, and not you, but like all these analysts and that TBS pre and post game show where all they do is sit and mumble for 10 minutes. And all they're saying, well, if you just won a game in Houston, they make it sound like it's so goddamn easy to win in Houston. It's not.
And I understand, Nick, your frustration, but is it not the truth? Remember that they ended the season. Actually, let me look up the official number so that way I get it right there. Home record of 2022. The Astros at home, 55-26.
That's probably the best. I would assume it's probably one of the better home records in baseball.
It's probably the best in baseball. And think about this: on the road, 51-30.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
so you can win. They like let's say they go to Yankee Stadium because that's going to be the ALCS.
They're going to steal a game at Yankee Stadium.
They're going to steal a game at Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees hopefully will win a game at Yankee Stadium. The question is, can the Yankees win a game in Houston? Seattle, and to Nick Vadera's credit, Seattle had them twice. They could have won twice in Houston. If they won both of those games in Houston, we're talking a different series. Seattle probably plays New York in the ALCS.
If. But here's the thing, and I said this after game one when the Seattle lost.
I know where you're going with this, and Nick and I aren't saying you're wrong. We know once that game one walk-off happened with Alvarez,
the momentum was it was pretty much over.
It was
pretty much over. It was psychic damage, like in Pokemon.
Well,
the minute Yordan Alvarez's home run hit the seats in Minute Maid Park, it was over.
I wasn't. I mean, game one was bad for their psyche, but when they lost game two,
that was when Alvarez hit another home run in the 6th inning, or something
right?
Like that.
And once they lost game two, that's when I said it was an emotional, overbearing take because they could have won both games. They could have won
again.
They could have won all three. They could have won all three. They could be, like Tom said, playing the Yankees. But here's the difference. Houston has all the experience. They don't care that if they're losing the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning. They believe that they're always in a game to win. And that's the difference.
Makes them so dangerous.
And Seattle, when was the last time Seattle was in the playoffs? 2001?
2001. I was 11. You guys probably weren't even born yet.
No, I was 93. I was 8. So
I was sarcastic.
So my point is, Seattle has 20 years to look back at the last time they made a playoff run. They do, and first of all the people on the team right now probably never even seen the playoffs.
I understand there's an element of just grateful to be here. It's all gravy, but you know what? You had him. You had him.
Oh no.
And I understand. Look, I understand. And let me look, full disclosure here, if you haven't figured it out already. I'm angry because I needed Seattle to win this because the Astros fucking terrify me.
And I think, and I'll go we'll talk about the ALCS preview, but I think just looking at the playoff picture in general, think about it, guys. Mets, 100-win team, out. Braves, 100-win team, out. Dodgers, 110-win team, out. And the Yankees, 99 wins, almost got to 100, nearly got eliminated by the Guardians. They managed to win the fifth and final game.
Can I say one thing, though? And it might not be a popular opinion. I'm actually happy that we're not so top heavy and that teams are actually competing.
While I agree, I think all you needed was the Yankees to go out, and I would have said, okay, Houston's going to win it.
Well, that I agree.
And I think it's still debatable, even with the Yankees in, that the path for Houston is pretty easy.
Pretty easy, yeah.
But that was part of the problem. The fans were arguing that MLB was too top heavy. Now you're seeing teams, 2 6 seeds make it? I mean,
I agree, Nick.
You say that now, but then the TV ratings come back and they suck. And then we're going, why did this happen?
Well, to be fair to Federa, that is a little concern right now. Is that imagine San Diego wins the series, and Houston wins the series. San Diego and Houston, that's not going to be as popular of a World Series as if it was New York and Philadelphia.
And let's be honest with ourselves. Everybody outside of Houston hates the fucking Astros.
Well,
and the cheating scandal that has been pissed in so many times. America will never like the Astros. They won't like the Yankees, but they don't like the Astros either, or they don't care about the Astros.
But here's the problem. I need you to throw up that other graphic with GORM again, because here's the problem. You're not marketing the full league. If you actually cared about marketing the full league, then maybe people would care about the San Diego Padres, who are an underdog team that maybe deserves an opportunity to play in the World Series.
I'm not saying they don't, but again, this is what happens when you look at ratings as a zero-sum game. When you're not marketing it correctly,
but that's the problem.
You have.
But that's the problem. Rob only cares about New York, LA, Philadelphia, maybe Chicago.
Meanwhile, Nick, I'm actually going to give some credit with the NBA and back in the Golden State Cleveland bonanza. That fourth series, and we're like, oh, I'm tired of this. But guess what? That first game between Golden State and Cleveland in those 4 years in a row was the highest rated of all of them. Think about it. It was the fourth year in a row, and people still tuned into it.
Because they know these guys. They know their stars. They know what these guys can do. That's how you market stars correctly.
But the one difference I would say about the NBA is the NBA actually cares about all its stars.
Manny fucking Machado is probably one of the greatest offensive players ever actually to put on a baseball uniform, and nobody's talking. And nobody outside of
No, we got to go back to the common example. That Mike Trout needs a better social media game, a better online presence too.
You know what? Fuck Rob Manfred.
He needs a better team, is what he needs. Shohei too.
No, well, first of all, I don't even know if we're going to have time for the Shohei comments that he made. Did you guys see the Shohei comments he made back in Japan?
That basically he was not amused by the season that the Angels
and that he might want out, possibly.
Well.
I'm just saying, if Masahiro Tanaka can do it, so can you, pal.
Well, he was off contract, I think, when his was done. But
no. The thing I was going to say is, if Judge truly isn't coming back to this team, and you look at your young guys like Volpe Dominguez, and you don't think they're the answer, hey, he's a pitcher too. He could solve multiple problems on this team.
Even if you get Judge, it would. Even if he comes back.
First of all, that goes against the argument, because if Shohei ends up in New York, obviously it's going to be marketed because Rob only cares about New York.
He cares, I think, more about the coasts. He cares more about New York and Los Angeles than he does about...
Wait a minute. Nick, if he cared about Los Angeles, then why doesn't he care about Anaheim?
Because Anaheim isn't Los Angeles.
Not in Los Angeles.
Well, kind of. They try to be.
It might as well be La Brea fucking tar pits.
Nick, I'm going to let you know a story. I had a friend back in my undergrad days who was from Anaheim. I know they won't be represented as Anaheim. They don't want this Los Angeles tag on them.
Well, I know why they did it. I hope you guys know why they did it. Well, yeah, obviously, because they want the sponsors that way. That's why.
I mean, the California Angels fit them just fine.
I mean, do you remember when they sued over the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim?
Yep.
Yes.
let's move on to the American League Division Series. So,
I thought the Yankees were in trouble. I'm sorry.
I did too.
My heart was broken
Disclosure,
after
I
that.
did too.
My heart was broken after that third game.
They should have swept this series, to be honest with you.
I wouldn't
have swept this series. You're right, dude.
I said 4 games, and I think it should have been the 4 games.
Cleveland had no business being in this series.
Cleveland has talent. They definitely.
Wait a minute. I didn't say they didn't have talent. I just said they had no business being in this series.
I mean, do you say that because their division they came from was shit, or
no? First of all, Cleveland won their division and with flying colors.
Yeah, the AL Central sucks. So let's be honest.
The AL Central does suck, but I don't want to hit them with
Wait a minute. I wouldn't say they suck. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I wouldn't say they suck. Chicago had injuries. Minnesota's not a bad team. Okay.
But still, if you're the Yankees, you almost lost to SpongeBob SquarePants.
Well,
you almost lost to SpongeBob Square. You almost lost to every single ball being hit to a very specific area of left center field.
You almost lost.
My fucking outfielders couldn't pick up.
You almost lost to this.
Which, oh daddy.
Well,
Daddy, old Josh he really didn't think that one through when he did it.
Well, I was going to say the Yankees almost were rocking the baby at one point, but
rock-a-bye, baby.
But here's the thing: the Yankees need to pitch better. If they're going to pitch like this, they're going to get swept by Houston.
Excuse me? Their pitching was one of the things that worked.
Nick
got them to win. Got them to a 5th game.
I think, guys, I'm in the middle specifically. I'm going to go. Nick Federa is writing that the starting pitching was, but once again. And Hank called this. Hank has called this on review and preview for all these weeks. He was concerned about the bullpen. And guess what? From my little talks at work by the sports talk at the water cooler and all the conversations with Hank and such, guys, once Michael King went down, the ship went down with this Yankees bullpen.
Look, I'm not ready to say that because Lewandi has been pretty much unhittable. The game he did lose was not his fault.
I need to ask a question, and I asked this to the guys before we started. Are we anointing Wandy Peralta the closer here?
I guess. Let me be clear with Nick Federa. I shouldn't really put a lot of these faults on the players as it is, and I feel like we say this year after year with the playoffs. Sometimes Booney has the most questionable decision making when it comes to pitching.
This was horrible.
I imagine they don't come from him.
Wait a minute.
That is the question. That is the question. But Nick, even if it didn't come from him, what if we said that Booney would be in that situation? He would be the fall guy. He would be the scapegoat.
He would be the one to if the Guardians had come in and they beat the Yankees 5.
I think if the Guardians won this series Wednesday, sometime today or tomorrow,
he would have been fired.
Cashman would have made a press conference where we would have announced his firing.
And here's the problem: in Game 3, the way that whole thing went down, where Boone said, "Well, he's not available. He can't pitch." Because in the back-to-backs,
and that was bad.
And then all of a sudden, wait a minute, wait. And then Clay Holmes comes out in his press conference. And by the way, if you want to see a video I put together where I edited the responses back to back, because it was a real clown show, the way this whole thing went down, where Aaron Boone says, "Oh, well, he's not available."
But you didn't tell him.
And then Clay Holmes said, "Oh, I was ready to pitch." And then, of course, Luis Severino had to come and throw his manager under the bus. And I'm going to give you credit, Tom, because you said it, that it's locker room chaos that was going on there.
Well, now I know we constantly say that he will have a job for life, but could you imagine if the Yankees lost the series, considering these circumstances about losing the locker room and such? Could you imagine maybe Cashman gets a lesser deal or doesn't get a deal at all?
It's the fall guy will.
I don't know.
The fall guy would have always been Aaron Boone. It never would have been Cashman.
Yeah, he's been with the organization for so long.
I agree.
He's practically there with the furniture. So
I agree. But one, results, and I've said this on the show for years now. But number two, we've also never saw a concern about the Yankees locker room, like we've seen in the last couple of weeks with this and with Chapman quitting, basically.
Well, forget Chapman. At this point, I look at
Chapman. I'm not concerned about Chapman. Who cares about him?
I mean, of course, Chapman will somehow end up on another roster next year. But
I mean, at least there's less of a propensity for back-breaking home runs in late innings.
And grinning after them.
But that could have been anybody. That could be any pitcher in the playoffs, though.
Why is it that it seemed to happen to him a lot?
It is what it is. My point.
They got the job done. They got the job done.
Yeah, they got the job done. They secured the series. They did what they were going to do. Wandy pitched his balls off. Cole pitched his balls off, which I really don't want to hear any more talk about Garrett Cole being a fake or a fraud, because that man, that was some big boy pitching. That's what you pay him $324 million.
I was going to say, in terms of like the thing about like contract, about playing like a $300 million player, Judge and Cole went opposite directions in this series. Judge kind of gave some of that money back, while Cole, as you actually kind of said, Nick Federa, proved that why he got that $300 million deal.
I still think Boone screwed that up in Game 4. He should have been pitching until he gave up a hit.
I will agree, but job was done. But job was
done.
So but
Nick,
if there was an MVP for the division series, you would give it to Cole.
I wouldn't.
There is not. I don't think there's a reason. There's definitely things you could nitpick.
Who would you have given it to then, Morganson?
Bader.
Okay, that's a fair one.
He would probably be the only other one. Maybe
or Peralta. Or
Peralta for being the closer the last two games. Okay, I'll give you that one as well. But
because Bader hit better than Judge and Stanton combined.
I think Bader was the Yankees' offense, honestly, in this series.
Look, because they in fact, Katie Sharp tweeted this out, because they hit like as a team, their cumulative batting average was
180 something,
which 182, which is the lowest batting average for a Yankee playoff.
Again, but that goes to Federa's point, where I think you're a little crazy, Nick. It's the offense that has to step up against the
offense that has to step up.
If you're going to be 100,
Aaron Judge become Aaron Judge. Granted, he had a home run in the clincher.
Yeah, but in the series against Houston, they need to pitch.
He needs
in the series against Houston. 10 strikeouts in the series isn't going to fly.
You can't do that. His record against Guardian pitching in the playoffs is not good, but
correct,
you need to do it.
But Nick, if you are Aaron Judge, and yes, you just had the season of your life, but if you trying to prove you want that 9-10 year deal, you want the 350 to 400,
you got to hit.
You got to step up in the postseason.
I mean, Judge looked lost at certain points of this series.
It looked like honestly, he was still trying to force. He was still trying to press for whatever reason.
I mean, he had 2 home runs in this series. All right, but the home run in Game 5 was basically when they were up 4-1.
Correct, but my point is just, you were still a 300 hitter. You were still one of the best hitters in the American League. Be that Aaron Judge. Don't force the long ball.
Here's the problem.
I would say the exact opposite about Giancarlo Stanton, because he didn't hit much, but the home runs he did hit were very timely and very much appreciated.
Yeah, but here's the problem though. They're a home run or a bust offensive team. They
were this series.
No, they are. That's what they've been all season.
I
don't think that's the case anymore.
With the players they have now, yes, because this series shows you the damage that no DJ and no Benintendi gives you.
Well, we all knew that we weren't going to have Benintendi.
Without being able to create runs, without being able to create traffic on the bases, in order to make those solo shots, 2-run home runs, 3-run home runs, grand slams.
And you gotta pray that DJ is 100%
Nick.
He's supposedly going back in this.
They turned Glaber into a leadoff hitter, which granted worked because he took his walks.
But that's not Glaber. That's not typical.
That's not what he does. He's not a prototypical leadoff hitter.
And by the way, anyone who says Judge is a leadoff hitter is lying.
I don't know why they did that.
I think the reason they did that was because when he was going for the home run record, that was
they
because
needed to give him as many ABs as possible.
Nobody else around him was hitting, so they would do the intentional walks.
You need a DJ in that leadoff spot.
You do.
That's the guy. That's the guy who's going to work the count.
I have said he is the most underrated, important piece of this lineup.
Because if DJ gets on base, he hits singles and doubles. First of all, you have to pitch Judge differently with someone on base.
Mhm.
Okay.
You do.
So that's the major difference here. But the pitching needs to be A+++ against the Astros.
The bullpen pitching.
No, starting pitching too.
But
Well,
again,
let me
they
put it
have
this-
been. Why do you keep making these statements in defiance of objective fact here? Because look at the starts for Severino, for Cole both times, and for Nestor both times. Tell me you wouldn't take that. No. Look at those statistics. I dare you.
Severino didn't pitch 100% lights
Look at
out.
those statistics.
Severino had a couple of struggling innings, but he bounced back and he still gave a
You're gonna tell me another team wouldn't give their balls for that kind of
yeah,
starting
Nick,
pitch?
you're being ridiculous.
Well,
honestly.
Severino wasn't healthy for most of the season, though.
It doesn't matter what he did most of the season. It's here now, the present moment.
I don't know. For this team to compete, they're going to need their starters to go 6-7 innings.
But yes, continue what you've been doing.
Okay.
Continue what you've been doing. You need to
Make-
be able to improve.
Okay, let's go. Make a prediction right now. I'm going to take the Band-Aid off, and I'm going to say that, honestly, prove me wrong. Prove to me, Yankees, that you can do this. I'm going to purposely pick against you to get the chip on your shoulder, because you play better with the chip on your shoulder. Because as of right now, I don't see this being any better than 2019 Astros in 6.
Astros in 6.
That's where I was going. Astros in 6. I mean,
Prove me wrong. It's time to slay the dragon. You have shown me in the first part of the season that you could beat anybody.
Well-
You need to become that team again.
Well, guess what? I'm gonna go in a different direction. If this really is the last season with Judge, if this is the last season with this mid 2010s core that you developed, when you remember those 4 straight years of no postseason, because you were trying to develop these young guys like Judge and Sanchez and Torres and company in the minors, and that bringing them up, and that was that team that came so close and got 2017. We thought they were gonna be a losing team, and they made it to Game 7 against the Astros, and then the cheating scandal came up. With this core, this might be that last chance. And look, not only do you get a last chance possibly at a World Series, you get a last chance at revenge. You got to make the most of it. It literally is now or never.
It is time to slay the dragon. That's why I keep saying that. Because what better time than now?
Even might be bad to say, but as a fan, but even if you break our hearts and lose in the World Series, give us this vengeance. Give us the pennant that we should have had.
here's the thing.
Now.
The Yankees need to win Garrett Cole's both of Garrett Cole's starts. They have to. They have a tendency because the Astros can hit him. Let's not.
Yes,
the
Astros can hit him. That's the thing.
I would say here's what it is. So would Garrett Cole would pitch Game 3, the first game of the Bronx?
Possibly Game 2.
Okay, so whichever one of those. See, because you have to win one of those games in Houston.
The big mistake was having him up in the bullpen in Game 5, which made no sense to me whatsoever.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm going to go under the assumption that it's Game 3. If it's Game 3, you got to take one in Houston. After Game 3, you have to be up on the Astros 2-1. You have to.
I agree with you.
So you think if it's tied after 3 games?
Well, it can't be
Or
tied.
going into the 3rd game.
I think if you're going into Game 3, at the end of Game 3,
You have to steal a game in Houston. That's
at the end of Game 3, if it's 3-0 Astros or 2-1 Astros, it's over.
it's over. Yeah, they have to win both of Garrett Cole starts. They're not going to
But again, it goes back to my point. More than Garrett Cole start, you have to win that road game. You have to win one of those road
Well,
games.
okay, so let's theorize this out. So who's going to be pitching in Houston? So we know Tyone's going to pitch Game 1. That's going to be a tough task.
I thought it was. Oh no, Cortez pitched tonight. So
Cortez
Tyone's
pitched
Game
tonight. Tyone's going to go tomorrow.
Game
Tyone's
1.
going to go on Wednesday.
I would assume because Cole was up in the bullpen, he would go Game 3. Sevy would go Game 2.
So what are your odds of winning with Sevy and Tyone both on the road?
They're
gotta take
more.
one.
They're more with Sevy. To be
I would
honest
say I'm not too confident, but I am confident. I would go with a 1-1. I would take a 1-1 split going into the Bronx.
They can't hit Verlander. Historically, they've not been able to hit Verlander.
Yeah, I think they lose Game 1. I think they rebound and take Game 2 and hopefully Game 3.
But that's the part that kills you, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
you don't know.
I mean,
because it could go both ways.
it might make sense to save Cole. Well, I don't know. So if he pitches game 3, that means he can come back when? Game 6? If it gets that far?
6, and if he doesn't go 6, definitely 7.
If it gets that far.
So you know what? Just chug Malox with us because it's going to be, yeah. Because if you're not on antidepressants when you're watching that game, you'll want to.
The Houston bullpen, we don't talk about it either, is no slouch either.
Oh yeah.
No.
Again, they kind of don't have a flaw. So that's what scares the piss out of me.
And also, the Yankee-Houston series over the years, Houston has had this uncanny ability to get a clutch hit against the Yankees.
You might attribute that to cheating, but you know what?
Nick, let the cheating go. It's 2022.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to do that because it's never fucking happening.
Okay, well, but Nick, to credit the Astros in the last 2 years with Dusty Baker under helm. They still
2020 and 2021, fine. 2017 and 2019,
no.
You can't convince me that they weren't fucking cheating.
All right, fine, but you can't go back to the cheating.
You don't have to fucking defend them.
I'm not defending them, but
what side are you fucking on?
I'm not defending them, but you keep going back to the cheating for this year when it happened in 2017. That's my point. Are you gonna hold on to the cheating forever?
I actually don't blame the grudge kind of thing, but you can't pin that on Dusty Baker, who has actually done a good job getting into an absolute messy situation, being thrown in with the Wolves in 2020.
He had to clean this whole mess up when he took over.
And he's made them go to 3 straight ALCSs in last year.
Yeah, believe me, Dusty deserves all the credit.
And I'll go a step further. If Houston ends up winning the World Series like they're projected to at this point, if I'm Dusty, I'm calling it a career after that.
And by the way, I would say, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but I think Houston's the bigger rival now than the Red Sox at this point.
I don't think that's wrong.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all.
I think Houston's the tougher competitor. The Red Sox right now are...
The Red Sox have the history, but the Red Sox have sucked the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So they need...
notwithstanding.
I actually think this would be more of an emotional victory if they beat Houston than the Red Sox at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, a measure of revenge.
Okay, let's go quickly. NLCS. As of we're recording this, actually, NLCS Game 1 just ended, and guys, the Phillies won 2-0.
Not surprised.
I'll do it. I will go for history, even if the Astros managed to break my heart. I will go with the route of history. For the first time, guys, in MLB history, a number 6 seed will represent a league in the World Series. I am going to go with the Phillies taking this in 6 games.
I'm going to go the same. I'm going to go Phillies in 6.
I mean, I'm going to stick with my prediction, and I said it on another show. I still think San Diego finds a way to win this in 6. I think San Diego is deeper. I think the pitching is deeper in San Diego. After Wheeler and Nola, who's pitching for Philadelphia? It's a question mark.
They haven't running into that problem has not hurt them somehow.
No, and I understand that, but I still think San Diego is going to find a way. I just think they beat the Dodgers for crying out loud.
And actually, guys, since I have Fox Sports up, I want to add one more thing to the Yankees-Astros rivalry thing and playoffs thing. That one year in the 2013-16 slump where they made the wild card game, that was 15. Who did they lose to?
The Astros.
The Astros.
That was pre, like, you know.
That's pre-2017.
That was pre-Judge, pre-Sanchez, pre-Torres.
That was the last gasp of the 09 kind of, yeah.
Yeah, that was A-Rod's last full year.
God.
All right. Nick Morgeson, lead us into basketball. Lead us into rebounds and deliver us from turnovers.
God. I mean, yeah, so I'm glad. Finally, the NBA is back. What ridiculous headlines are we going to see this year?
Well, what did you think of the take that Johnny and I and Nick Federa talked about last week of that these certain headlines from the Draymond Green situation with Jordan Poole and the Robert Sarver, that it's taken away a little bit from the hype of the season starting?
Well, I still think the Warriors are the favorite to repeat again. I know people are going to be angry with that take, but I still think They just secured bags with Jordan Poole and who was the other one? That was the rookie last year. I'm losing names off the top of my head, but one got $140 million extension. But they are going to be a great team. Jordan Poole will be fine. Draymond Green's an idiot, but we know he's not going anywhere. Draymond Green's an idiot for punching people, but we know he's not going to get suspended by the NBA because the NBA is not going to investigate anything. Thank you. Yes. I know. Yes. We know Draymond Green punches people. I get it. But Draymond Green, and I know people are going to get mad, but he's the heart and soul of that team.
He kind of is. I know they don't want to admit it, but he kind of is.
Obviously, Steph Curry is the real leader of that team. He's going to be the scorer. He's going to get everybody involved. But Draymond Green is the emotional defensive leader of this team. You look at the statistics. When he's off the court, they play horrible defense. When he's on the court bullying people and making people feel like shit, that's when they win. So I just look at all the different lines that until someone shows me otherwise, I still think they're the favorite. I look at some of the other teams. The Nets haven't proven anything. Okay.
Who in the Eastern Conference besides Milwaukee and Boston do you? Not even Boston because I don't even know with them anymore.
So Nick Federa, I've been reading, doing my research on like previews and stuff. There's a lot of people who are hype around Philadelphia.
Philadelphia has a lot of hype, but they have a lot to prove.
I agree.
James Harden's got to prove himself.
Yeah. Well,
seasons are not won in the pages of Sports Illustrated.
Oh yeah,
Fair
because they make that dumb prediction every year.
Well, Nick, you know my feelings on James Harden.
Well, yeah, I've said it for a long time that
he's the most overrated player in the NBA.
I mean, if that was the case, if you could win a championship just by being on the cover of Sports Illustrated, Bryce Harper would have more championship rings than Yogi fucking Berra.
No, I wouldn't go that far. But my point is, Joel Embiid needs to step up. He's been hurt. He's been hurt the past couple of years. This team has a lot of hype. Tobias Harris is another guy who got a large contract, needs to play better. You don't have to worry about the black cloud of Ben Simmons being on this roster anymore. No, that's the Nets' problem.
Because the black cloud is settled over your team.
Let me ask you, Nick, your thoughts on your Nets. I mean, I see your thoughts already, but where do you see them? Where do you see them finishing? Are they a playoff team?
First of all, we need to get over the emotional battle that was Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant from this horrible offseason.
Oh, what's that, Kyrie? Don't look behind you. Oh no, it's the gigantic needle. It's the COVID vaccine, and it's coming for you.
You know what? It's a new season of the NBA's weirdest soap opera: the young, the dumb, and the unvaccinated.
RELAX.
Kyrie, are you immunized?
Probably.
No, it's not that he just can't score. It's just the ball has been immunized from going in the net.
All I can say is,
look, buckle up for those jokes all season because
I'm aware.
All right, answer the question.
I think the Nets will be better. I don't know. They're not going to win a title. If you're asking me, if they're going to win a title.
Are they going to be a playoff team?
Yes, they will be a playoff team.
What seed is their ceiling?
6th, 5th, 6th seed, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. I think they'll be a 7th seed. They were an 8th seed last year, weren't they?
Well, they were a top seed and then just had an epic collapse to the last seed.
Well, because Kyrie Irving couldn't get back on the court, and Kevin Durant was hurt. If Kevin Durant is healthy, they will be a 5th or 6th seed because Kevin Durant is still one of the better players in the NBA.
How do you feel about the? Okay, no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if Kyrie Irving is healthy and they're both playing together, they will be a 5th seed, somewhere around there.
What are your thoughts on the Knicks? Because I have seen in the Sports Illustrated thing that I read that they think Jalen Brunson's going to basically be a bust.
The Knicks overpaid. I'm
not gonna take away from that. I understand that argument. Fair enough.
Because the Knicks wanted somebody because they basically missed out on every free agent there was. Because no one wants to play for the Knicks. We figured that out.
Yeah.
They busted on the whole Donovan Mitchell situation. I don't want to rehash that whole thing again because it was ridiculous. We all knew he wasn't going to the Knicks. If they can get into the play-in tournament, that's where I see them as their high ceiling.
I will second that. I will agree.
If they could be a 10th, if they could be a 9th or a 10th seed, that's a good season.
Just continue to make progress, I think, is the thing.
But what's progress for them? A 9th or a 10th seed? I guess. I mean, as long as they finish above 500, that's a good season.
All right, Nick. Eastern Conference Final, Western Conference Final, NBA champion.
Oof.
I'm going to go, since the Eastern Conference, since we all seem to be on that page, it's got to be Bucks Celtics for me.
Yeah, that's pretty much going to be it.
If Chris Middleton is healthy, and right now he's going to miss some time at the beginning of the season, as long as he's back, I think him and Giannis are the best duo in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, obviously, Steph and Clay on the Western Conference. But the Bucks need to play better. Play better. And as long as they're healthy, I think you're going to see Bucks Celtics again.
What about Western Conference? I assume you're going to have the Warriors back in there, but against who?
The Warriors are always going to be there until Steph and Clay move on and don't play anymore, and Draymond's still there. They're going to be a top team, top seed.
Maybe Phoenix.
No, I would stay away from Phoenix.
Phoenix seems to be going on downhill. I've been seeing a lot of hype supposedly around the Clippers.
The Clippers, I mean, obviously because you have George and you have Kawhi, but what have they proven in 3 years or whatever they've been with the Clippers? They're hurt. They're damaged. Kawhi doesn't give a crap about playing NBA basketball anymore, even though he signed a $215 million max contract extension. I would stay away from the Clippers.
Do you think the Jazz or Nuggets face the Warriors?
No, the Jazz are going to be a bust team this year. They
traded.
That's
That's right. I was looking at an old standing.
The Nuggets, I would, because now they got Porter back. I forgot the other guy who was injured. Their starting point guard. He'll be back. They're going to compete. They're not going to be able to beat the Warriors, but they're going.
And I'll go Warriors Nuggets. So I'll go Warriors Nuggets as well. I guess Federa, what do you say?
I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna go Warriors.
I would. The one team that I would say is dangerous is Memphis. I would keep looking at Memphis. They're going to play better. Obviously, they have Conley and they have. Why am I forgetting the star's name off the top of my head? All of a sudden, that's bad that I can't remember that. I'm looking it up as we talk. But as long as they stay healthy and they play well,
Morant?
Morant, yes. As long as John Morant stays healthy, they're going to compete again. They were dangerous against the Warriors last year.
Mm-hmm.
They could have won that series, but I think that Ja just is not enough to win in that series.
Need more experience.
Need more experience. They need a better core. They're a dangerous team to watch.
So we're going with a Warriors-Bucks final then.
I think the Celtics are dangerous. I think they need to play better. They lost Gallinari early down with the leg injury. Tatum needs to be a leader. That was a problem. Did not play great. So I think if the Celtics can be the same team and play well, I think they could make it back to the finals. But if Chris Middleton is healthy, I think they're the better team. So yes, I think it should be Warriors-Bucks in the final.
And who do you have lifting the Larry O'Brien trophy at the end?
The Celtics were a weak team. That's why the Warriors exploited them and won. If Middleton is healthy, and I think it'll go 7 games. If Middleton and Giannis are there, I think the Warriors are just too experienced. I think they're going to repeat again. That's just my gut.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen.
I'm gonna have the faith though. I'm gonna go against you guys. I'm gonna say Bucks over Warriors in 7.
As long as Middleton is healthy, then it will go 7 games. That's my guess. But if Middleton's not healthy, then the Warriors are going to win.
Okay. Should be a fun season of basketball. Let's get back to the football. It's near time to do a rapid rundown, but just first some recapping. Wow. Guys, is it me or is the football quality just continuing to go down?
I mean, if you're a Giants or a Jets fan,
okay. I'm just talking about the play on the field, though. I mean, Commanders 12, Bears 7 on Thursday Night Football.
Well, Thursday Night Football's been an abomination. That's not just that game.
I'll tell you, Johnny was proven right last game on when they did not do a preview for it.
But you think that Jeff Bezos is like really complaining at the amount of money he spent with all these crappy Thursday night games? Now
criticism where it has to do. Broncos Chargers on Monday night. What, one touchdown pass that whole game, if anything?
Can we stop
putting Russell Wilson in prime time?
Well, I'll go one step further.
Act like this and not going to be the gunslinger he was in Seattle. What the fuck is the point of having? First of all, I would get more. I've gotten more entertainment value out of watching flies fuck than I would at watching Thursday night games on Amazon Prime. So what exactly does that? Exactly. Let's ride straight into somebody's anus, because that's what this is. Congratulations, dickweeds. Congratulations, dickweeds. You just spent $500 million over a subpar, boring product that is analogous to watching paint fucking dry.
You do know what Russell Wilson is saying to you, right?
RELAX.
Well, let's talk about him. But first, guys, I just want to put a thought in your head before we go off of Russell Wilson. Imagine saying the Seahawks won the trade when they acquired Geno Smith on all those draft picks. That's the reality.
And I mean, I mean that sincerely, because despite him sucking when he was with the Giants and getting punched in the jaw when he was with the Jets, I always liked Geno Smith.
Geno Smith is playing way better than we all thought. Let's just admit that.
Yes,
playing better than Russell Wilson in terms of
he's playing better than Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady.
Exactly.
Well, both teams being 3-3 also, which is a disappointment. But I would say, and this is going to suck that I have to say it, I would take Geno Smith over my current quarterback right now with the Jets.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you
at all.
But let's talk about your team. 4-2 now. It's the first time in a decade that the Giants and Jets are both above 500?
2010. Yep.
Who would have thought it? Who would have thought it? You know what? If you put a gun to my head when we were doing the NFL season preview a couple of weeks back and said, "What do you honestly think the Giants' record is going to be through 6 weeks?"
No.
No way I would have picked 5-1.
I know what you would have said if I said they were both in first place.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop you fucking lying.
That's what you would have said, because we would have all said that you were delusional.
I said the capability of being a 500 team was there, but again, I said 500 team. I did not say that they would be 5-1 after 6 weeks of the season.
I think I feel over delusional because I thought the Jets were going to be 0-17 and now they're 4-2.
Well, honest to God, I think they're very similar in the way that because their defenses have been playing out of their minds.
The Giants, I don't know if I could say this about the Jets, but the Giants have proven something about themselves. They are a second half team, which is kind of similar to those Super Bowl winning teams, that they know how to make adjustments coming out of the locker room. And that's credit to Brian Dable for changing that culture and changing.
Finally, we have a coach.
Yeah.
Finally,
and
a coach.
And even maybe arguably even more than Brian Dable, Wink Martindale on the defense has been unbelievable.
Wink has been a complete revelation. I don't know. This is pretty much the exact same personnel that Joe Judge was sucking with last year, and all of a sudden he's turned them into ball hawks. Maybe it all is about coaching. Maybe you just need to find the right person. I know it's kind of like saying you just need to wait for the right woman, but you know what? Maybe there's truth to that.
I would challenge one thing. I'd say you're right about mostly everything, but right now the eggs are in the Saquon Barkley basket. Right now,
meaning that he's going to get the bag.
No. I'm saying that they're relying on Saquon Barkley heavily.
Well, of course, because
that's why
the receiving core.
But that's why. So here's the thing: the only reason I used in my takes preseason about trading Barkley was that if the Giants were 500 or lower and there was no shot, but he was healthy and playing like he was now, then
no one thought no one thought that team was going to be 5-1.
Correct.
But now you can hit the trade market to see if you can get a good backup.
No, I disagree. Here's where you get the receiver. Here's where you go to Carolina and say, DJ Moore, please, or Terrace Marshall, please. Here's where you go looking for these teams that are basically not going to be in it. Say Houston. Okay, Brandon Cooks, please.
Well, you know what? If the Arizona Cardinals continue to disappoint, maybe you talk to them about DeAndre Hopkins.
But wait a second.
That's
now you're jumping the gun.
You're never going to happen.
But let me, as I look at the 5-1 record, of all the games, and you guys get mad at me for it, they shouldn't have won the first two. Okay, and I'm just going down through a record's sake. I'm not saying you're wrong. They're 5-1. And first of all, I could say to you that the Jets shouldn't have won a bunch of games either.
But Nick, that goes to my point about second half adjustments and taking advantage of other teams' mistakes. The Giants of 2021 and 2019 and 2017 would not have done such things.
Exactly.
Agreed. Now, and I'm going to defend you on one situation with the Packers, because people were saying this about when Aaron Rodgers played the Jets and the Giants. Well, thumb injury and blah, 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 blah. Shut up.
No.
Stop with the injuries.
Let's be honest. Once again, where is their wide receiver one? What wide receiver has stepped up to prove that they can be a replacement for Davante Adams?
Maybe Lazard, maybe.
Maybe Romeo Doubs.
Well, no,
one game.
Lazard is technically their one.
I know, but Romeo Doubs had that one highlight. But I mean, other than that, and honestly, I'm sorry, and I actually saw this in the Jets game, and maybe Nick, you could agree with me. How do you have one of the best running backs in Aaron Jones, and you are not utilizing him to the fullest of his capabilities?
First of all, who is running that offense in Green Bay?
LaFleur.
Not LaFleur, who apparently Aaron Rodgers wanted the offense simplified, and Matt LaFleur was like, "What do you mean by that?"
Well, the fact that LaFleur is running this offense and is basically indistinguishable from a half-eaten breakfast omelet, calling the plays. It's like,
here's the thing.
Sure, he's running this team because he's running it right into the ground.
Well, here's what I'll say. One, you have to blame partially that he is hurt. He can't throw the football. I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm saying that he's having a problem throwing the football.
Nick, no, he's not running it to the ground. He's running it to LaFleur.
Exactly, he's running into the floor. But you know what? I mean, look, I'm not gonna.
You're welcome.
Oh yes. The pun master has been usurped.
My point is though that Aaron Rodgers does look hurt. I'm not saying that's an excuse why they lost.
Look, I'm not gonna dress this up or gussy this up in any way to say that this is pretty much schadenfreude with the offseason that Aaron Rodgers has had. The offseason and the previous season that Aaron Rodgers has had. I am looking at this as karma having a really funny way of fucking with people.
But the one thing I will say is what was it? Bryce Hall. Bryce Hall had an amazing game.
Bryce or Brees?
They have both. They have Brees the running back and Bryce the cornerback. Bryce just went on the trade block.
Brees, whatever, the running back.
Yeah, Brees.
Brees Hall.
You guys don't need Michael Carter anymore.
No. We don't need him. But Brees Hall looked amazing. He's looked really good the past couple weeks.
That was an authoritative win. The Packers didn't lose that game. The Jets won it.
I knew the game was over when they blocked the punt.
Exactly.
So, guys, that brings us to the question. What the hell is going on with the Packers, and are they going to end up having any sort of rebound? Or because I think now that you have lost to the Giants and Jets, if you're going into that direction about the Giants, maybe this whole debate about are they for real or not, if you're going that direction, I think then you have to give the NFC North to the Vikings at this point.
And the Vikings are not a runaway favorite either.
They're not a runaway favorite, but Kirk Cousins, maybe not so much compared to last season, but Kirk Cousins is still delivering.
Kirk Cousins is doing enough stuff to not have people turn on him.
Well, first of all, making
less mistakes.
First of all,
sometimes that's all you need.
First of all, Kirk Cousins can't win a primetime game, so we know they're not going to be good.
You and my father would get along famously because, again, He has been telling me that for years. We're not going to win shit with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins
Well,
can suck my ass.
For them to
I'm
be
quoting him directly when I say that.
for him to be a good quarterback and for them to win, they have to win primetime games. They don't.
But you know what? I mean, at this point, I mean, I don't think the Packers are. Do they have a second wind in them? I don't know.
Well, they're 3-3 right now, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit too easy to be calling them dead, though.
Let me ask, if we're going to talk shit about the Packers, how the hell did the Steelers, after Mitch Trubisky had to come into the game because of Kenny Pickett's concussion, how did they beat the Buccaneers?
Something's right. You know what? I think the divorce is making Tom Brady a little bit more erratic than usual. Maybe it's well, then again, that doesn't.
Congratulations, Tom. You came out of retirement and ruined your family life.
Congratulations, dickweeds.
Yeah, all for the
broke
sake.
up your marriage for this shit.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, it's a
Dude,
weird.
Dude, go be a father. Go be a husband.
I
Go do
told.
anything else.
By the way,
Too late
think
for
about
that.
this. Think about this for a second. The Jets are 4-2. The Packers and the Bucks are 3-3.
Yep. But we did get one good game. Bills Chiefs, primetime Sunday afternoon, was unbelievable.
Well, until Patrick Mahomes decided to make an un-Patrick Mahomes-like throw for an interception at the end.
Then again, I mean, you're going to see them. You're going to see them. That's your
Might be your
AFC
AFC title game this year.
Yeah.
I still think
It's
the Bills are.
probably going to be your AFC title game for the next 4 to 5 years.
I think the Bills are the much better team, though, right now.
I think so. I
Right
agree with
now,
you.
yes,
Yeah.
but things could change.
Yeah, but the whole Tyreek Hill thing is killing the Chiefs right now. It is.
But
the fact that they don't have him, yeah.
All right, let's go to an injury report. So we have several injuries that we have to deal with this week. Marquise Hollywood Brown was seen in a walking boot. So I guess if you're Kyler Murray, thank God DeAndre Hopkins is coming back this week, and you acquired Robbie Anderson in that trade. Russell Wilson. Here's what I was going about with Wilson. So that injury that they were talking about, and some were debating maybe is a cover, to cover Hack's ass. Yeah, well, apparently something is going on in his arm, and it might be significant. Imagine if, guys, this is the end of Russell Wilson's season.
I would like to not. I don't want that. Look, I know I just spent the last 5 minutes shit talking him and about the quality of the football game, but you know what? Russell Wilson is still, by reputation alone, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So I would rather that not happen.
By the way, I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback right now.
Dak Prescott, Tua. So this is the opposite. They might be coming off the injury list. They might be returning this week.
Did Tua get cleared?
Tua, I believe, is cleared, and the expectation is he will probably start this week. And Dak is the hopeful it will be this week.
I think the Cowboys are like, please come back.
Hey, you know what? They're what?
4-1. 4-1 with Cooper Rush.
Did they have their bye last week?
No, I'm just saying.
No, they're 4-2. The Giants are in second place right now.
No. I'm saying they just, when he took over after week 1, he's 4-1.
Correct.
Yeah. So, they're 4-2. Yeah.
Kenny Pickett concussed. Looks like Mitch Trubisky is going to be the quarterback for an indefinite period of time. Skylar Thompson, well, thank God Tua's coming back. And thank God Teddy Bridgewater's healthy because he went down with injury.
Yeah. I mean, it's struggle.
Let's make it worse on the Packers. Randall Cobb, the veteran presence who actually has been passing some catches for them. High ankle sprain.
The Packers are in trouble. They're in trouble. There's panic. The alarms are going off there.
Did you say the alarms are going off?
Yes. I lost my button here. Oh, there they are.
Perfect timing for the rapid rundown.
By the way, this is going to be a record episode, so we'll see how long this takes.
All right. Just going over the bye teams for this week. Well, guys, just letting you know, we have no Bills. We have no undefeated Eagles. We have no Vikings in action. And we have no Super Bowl defending champion Rams in action. That should give you a hint for what we're about to go through.
I'll give you a hint.
Warning! Back Incoming! Warning!
We start with Thursday Night Football. It's the New Orleans Saints traveling to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. The Cardinals a 1.5-point favorite, and as mentioned, this is the DeAndre return game. DeAndre Hopkins is expected to make his season debut this Thursday.
I'm gonna take the money with this one because he's probably gonna have a big game.
So Andy Dalton, let me be clear. Andy Dalton actually looks a lot better when it comes to running the offense than Jameis Winston is for New Orleans. However, for all the shit that Arizona has had to go through with no DeAndre Hopkins, you would think that the return of their big star would help that offense out, and especially with a home game. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals. If they lose to the Saints in this game, I don't know if you can ever pick them again this season.
You're on an express train to Fart Town.
I mean, we've said this for the last 6 weeks. DeAndre Hopkins is the difference in this team. Kyler Murray has his weapon back. You better beat the Saints. You're an embarrassment if you don't beat the Saints right now. Take the money.
We have no Sunday morning London game this week. We get a 1 week break from the international game before we go back to London on the 30th.
Aren't we going to Germany soon also?
On November 13th, yes.
Great.
So, but we will begin the Sunday afternoon slate with Packers as a 5.5-point favorite in Washington against the Commanders.
This is tricky. I can't believe
there is really nothing better to cure what ails you than a good game with the Commanders. So
this is tricky. Like Vegas is begging you to take the Packers.
I would say, guys, have a vomit game. Have a vomit bag ready when watching this game.
Yes, it is a vomit game, but you know what? That's not going to stop me from. That's not going to stop me from taking the money. So.
See, if Aaron Rodgers is completely healthy, we're not even having this discussion.
Are you tell me you're actually going to take the Commanders, Morgan?
No, I'm just saying. No, I'm saying if he was completely healthy, this would just be a laugher, and we'd be saying Aaron Rodgers. Like,
I'll just say take the money at this point. You can't have it against the Commanders now, can it?
I mean, we forgot. Wentz is out. Wentz is out.
Oh yeah, that's right. Wentz is out.
Wentz is out 4 to 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks.
Heineke time again in Washington.
Oh yeah, take the money.
The Browns at the Ravens. We got an AFC North matchup with the Ravens as a 6.5-point.
I learned my lesson last week after trying to take the Browns, and Zappy decided to finally wake up and score.
I see you, Zap.
I see you,
Zap.
I see you. God, yeah, take the money.
I will say take the money with the Ravens, but I'm concerned with how some of their, the second half, they just absolutely collapse, it seems.
Dude, you let the Giants be.
If they don't force that pick, it's a different game.
Because the Giants are good now, but I'm taking the money.
No, but I was just going to say, if Lamar doesn't force that pick, it's a different game.
Are you ready for ridiculousness?
Oh, no.
The Buccaneers are an 11-point favorite over the Panthers. Now,
this is tempting fate by Vegas. It really is.
Here's the thing. I know the Panthers suck, but the Buccaneers offense, what kind of offense is that? So here's what I'm going to do.
And PJ Walker's hurt too.
Correct. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go Tampa. I'm not going to take that line.
I'm going to do the same. I'm taking
Tampa no cover.
I'm confused by the Bucs because Tom Brady's had some of his worst statistics since he entered the league as a rookie. I think he's 12th in the league in quarterback passer rating. I think he's in the top 10, which is low in yards.
For him, yeah.
They're going to win. It's just a matter of, do I think they're good enough to cover the line? The answer is no. So I'm going to take them, but I don't think they're going to cover the line.
This is a pick against the spread. And I think the Game On crew will probably agree with us on Friday.
We'll see.
Okay, the Falcons taking on the Bengals in Cincinnati. Cincy is a 6.5-point favorite.
Don't sleep on the Falcons. I can't believe I have to say this because they beat the 49ers single-handedly last week.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go Bengals, no cover.
I'm going to go with the Bengals, but I'm not going to. I am going to take that cover because that sounds about right.
I mean, Jamar finally decided to wake up and actually play good football last week.
When
See,
they wake up, they can play good football.
See, I disagree with that. I think it's not Jamar's fault. I think they're not utilizing him correctly, or they have people covering him, and the offensive line is just constantly collapsing around Burrow. I don't think it's a matter of what Jamar Chase. I don't think it's a thing on Jamar Chase.
The Falcons have actually been, believe it or not, competitive in every game they've played this year.
I know.
And we all thought they were going to be a dumpster fire, and I don't know, but
No. I need to throw up a fun fact. First NFL team to have their first 6 games. They're the underdog, and they
covered them.
Beat the spread. Yep,
they covered them. Yeah, I heard that the other day. Oof.
So I gotta go Bengals no cover at this point. I can't see them
much as I want to disrespect the Bengals right now. I can't. The Falcons are still the Falcons of Marcus Mariota. I think they're going to cover.
Okay, I'm lone wolfing on this one. Lions Cowboys -7 favorite are the boys in Dallas, and again, this we don't know as of today, but may be Dak Prescott's return game.
I think Dak's going to be back. That's my.
If it is, it's still not going to matter because the Lions are going to Lions. Despite their good pieces, I'm taking the money.
Again, they've been competitive in most of their games this year.
Mm-hmm. But I'm still going to take the money.
Yeah, I don't think it would have mattered. I think they're going to cover.
All right, Giants are going to travel down to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars, and the Jaguars are a 3-point favorite at home.
The Jaguars haven't been playing as good as we all thought they were.
Yeah, I'm going to go to upset city on this one. You know, I picked Houston against the Yankees. I need the Thanos. I need to balance out my hometown and my team loves. I need to show support. I'm going G-men.
G-men.
I wish I don't know why I always forget the Trevor Lawrence. I guess he's so forgettable because we don't see him very much during red zone. He hasn't played very well. He's not throwing the ball very well. The chemistry doesn't. I mean, even with who's the head coach again? The former Philly coach.
What's his name?
He won the Super Bowl with the Eagles.
Yeah. Oh shoot, Peterson.
Yeah, Peterson. Yeah. Like he's a great coach and all. He's going to bring experience. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm taking the Giants to upset City here.
Good. We're all in agreement. Colts Titans in Tennessee. 2.5-point favorite is Tennessee. Guys, it's the AFC south of the barrel.
By the way, you got screwed by the Colts last time.
Yeah. That's part of also why I'm going against the Jags on this one.
Are they flexing this motherfucker? Because I'd like to.
No, they're regional. They're regional.
This, so, yeah, I'm gonna take the money.
You know what? Just because I'm going against the Jags, because of their screw job last week against me and my locks, I'll do the same for the Colts. So I'm going to take the money.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Ryan, I think he got lucky 1 week. Let's put it that way. Take the money.
The Raiders are back from their bye, as are the Houston Texans, and they'll be facing off in Las Vegas. 7-point favorite is the Las Vegas Raiders.
I will take the Raiders, but I'm not taking that line.
I'll take the line.
Yeah, I mean, Texans are the Texans. The Davis Mills experience is not a good one. Take the money.
In Denver, the New York JATS Jets are going to travel to Denver to take on the Broncos, who are a 1.5-point favorite at home. I don't understand that line. Vegas is doubting the New York teams. I'm mad about it. I'm mad that they consider the Broncos a favorite after all the crap that they've been through and Russell Wilson's injury. So guess what I'm doing, boys? As much as I'm a Giants fan, I've been debating about which New York team to do it. I'm going to do it here, upset City, and I'm going to use my lock here. I'm going Jets over Broncos as my lock this
year. How dare you steal my thunder? That's the game I was going to lock on too.
Okay, you're my partner in crime then. I need one of these to work. I need one of these to work.
I'm gonna pick the Jets, but I'm not gonna go with a lock.
Oh, he has another one he's looking at.
By the way, the Broncos are a dumpster fire. If you're not picking against the Broncos right now, there's something wrong with you. Yeah, take the Jets plus the points.
By the time Sunday comes around, that line better switch to the Jets being the favorite.
Well, you have the pick locked in at this point, though. But yes. Yeah, I would lock. This is an easy lock, I think, in my opinion. I think they're going to upset.
We go now to the Chiefs, who are going to be looking for vengeance, and they'll be taking on the 49ers in San Francisco after just getting blanked by the Falcons. The Chiefs are the 3-point favorites.
I'm just going to say it now.
There you go. I had a feeling this was going to be.
That's your lock? Interesting.
I'll take the money. It's the Chiefs, and I think the Niners, I mean, there's questions around the Niners, Nick. You just said it yourself. I'm getting embarrassed.
Well, I'm not happy last week that I had that as a lock, and the Falcons just crapped all over the Niners. But yeah, take the money.
Seahawks are going to travel to not there yet, not at Sunday Night Football yet. Seahawks are going to travel to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers at SoFi. The Chargers are a 6.5-point favorites.
I'm kind of confused by this line a little bit.
You know what? I mean, what happened Monday night against the Broncos scares me. I am going to go.
The Chargers have been a very confusing team so far.
Yeah.
And Brandon Staley's a joke.
I'm trying to think here. So they are 4-2. But they let up so many points. They let up more points than they have for. You know what? Upset City. I'm going Seattle.
I'm gonna go with the Chargers, but I'm not taking that line.
That was my other thing. I was deciding between if I would go full Upset City or just no cover.
I just feel like this one is pretty easy. I'm taking Seattle outright win here against the points.
So none of us are going to cover this one.
No, I think that first of all, Seattle just looks way better than we all thought. Geno Smith looks way better than we all thought. Who would have thought Geno Smith would walk in and just completely transform that team after a franchise quarterback like Russell Wilson leaves and does questionable things in Denver? So, yeah, I'm taking them against the points to win.
All right. Time for Sunday Night Football. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers coming off of their surprise victory over the Bucs, traveling to Miami to take on the Dolphins, who are a 7-point favorite at home. Let's just make certain, guys, this is not going to end up like that Monday Night Football game from 2007 where there was mud all over the field.
This is disgraceful that this is Sunday Night Football.
I'm going to take the money.
Tua supposedly is going to be back. Mitch Trubisky is in place. And I think the Steelers, and I think even Tree says it himself in his videos, the Steelers defense just does not look the same without TJ Watt there to help them. So I'm going to say take the money and go with the Fins.
This is pretty easy. Steelers are probably one of the worst teams in the NFL this year, regardless if it's Pickett or if it's Trubisky. And when Tua's back, that team runs in perfect chemistry. Take the money.
So, guys, there was actually a third game that I was considering for doing my lock, and it's the Monday Night Football game between the Chicago Bears and the New England Patriots in Foxborough with the Patriots as an 8-point favorite, and that is simply because, guys, the Bears, SUCK, suck. Bear down, go down, take the money.
They suck. I'm taking the money.
Yeah, there's no discussion. Take the money.
They suck.
All right, that is going to do it for this edition of Empty the Bench. Before we go, I have something that I need to talk about that I actually forgot to make a banner for. Halloween night, guys. Monday Night Football. Browns and the Bengals. Remember our live stream we did with the Giants and Cowboys? We'll be doing another one.
Hopefully my electricity stays on.
And this time I'm not going to get... Hopefully his electricity stays on and I don't have a dog in this fight, so I'm not just going to go insane slowly for 3 hours.
I picked this game for a reason because, again, it's on Halloween, and it's all orange and black teams.
Yeah.
Orange and black teams, we're gonna be there. We're gonna have jokes. We're gonna have analysis, and I'm gonna have candy, a big 2-pound bag.
God! What candy?
Kit Kats and Reese's.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to get Kit Kats myself.
But still,
right.
We're gonna be there, so make sure you're there as well.
You know what? Good. I like an old fashioned candy. $100 grand.
What are you, 73?
I like it.
We are old here, Nick. Make sure, by the way, to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification
Ring
bell.
the bell.
That way you get notified of everything Empty the Bench related, including Empty the Bench, Beyond the Bench, Game On, Living Life, Fruity Cereal, the MMA Outsiders, and so much more. Make sure to subscribe to youtube.com/ETB Network. That is going to do it for yet another 2-hour-long edition of Empty the Bench.
Not a record.
Not a record, but still pretty close. So for Nick Morgeson and Nick Federa, I'm Tom Albano, and I want to leave us off, guys, with one final note.
Let's ride right off the cliff. And I'm going to say good night, everybody!
Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.